What's up everybody? Today I am trying out paint pens by the company Pintar that I recently bought. For context, I have been using Posca acrylic paint pens for a couple years now, and my only gripe with them is that their color range is very limited. So recently I have been on more or less a quest to fill in the gaps of color so that I can have a full spectrum of color in my paint pens. So with Pintar, I decided to buy their skin tone pack because Posca, Grabie, and Shuttle art all have very limited colors for skin tones, for all skin colors. Here's all of the colors that came in the pack, and in a moment I'm going to go ahead and swatch them. And I decided to create a whole swatch page, so I decided to flip to a page that would fit. Of course, after I managed to struggle opening every single marker. One beef I had, though, is that they were all individually packaged, which isn't a huge issue, but I just thought it was a little bit wasteful. So now I decided to swatch them, and I came across my main beef with these markers. The ink takes forever to come out, and I had to shake them and pump the markers so many times my wrists were really starting to hurt and my carpal tunnel was starting to go crazy, and I was worried I'd damage the marker. But I managed to overcome that, thankfully, and it took about an hour or so to make this whole swatch page because of how long it took to pump the ink. But other than that, the colors came out beautifully, and they happen to have a lot more of a color range than I initially thought when seeing the markers. Of course, that brings up my other issue with these, is that the caps and the colors have a color discrepancy. They don't match incredibly well, but this issue isn't specific to the Pintar company. It's a very common thing with art supplies, but it is a little beef I have, but I'm not going to hold the company personally or take it personally. That's just a common issue that a lot of art supplies have. So I'm not surprised this happened, but it was very relieving to see how many different colors actually were there. So of course, I now decided it is time to properly test out these markers, so I decided to test them the best way I know how, drawing women. So before I move on to actually trying the markers, I'm going to go ahead and start with the sketch. Alright, now that I have finished the sketch, both of them, it is now time to move on to the meat of the project and start testing these markers. another important thing that I wanted to test for is if these markers get along well with Posca, Grabie, and Shuttle, and thankfully they get along perfectly in the sandbox, so to speak. However, I haven't tested if they get along real well with monotone, but that will come at a future date because I currently don't have enough of a range of the monotone markers to really be able to test that out and have a good use for them quite yet. So now I'm just doing the final touches because it occurred to me that I somehow managed to make her hair just a little too light. So I'm using my black Grabie and my black Shuttle Art brush pen as I fix her hair color to make it more accurate because the dark brown dried just a little lighter than I thought it would. But that's okay, because I do really like that really pretty shade of brown. It just didn't work for her hair. Alright, and here's the final product. I really did enjoy testing these out, and now it is about time for my final opinion on these markers. So for color variety, I would say it's a solid 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed the range of colors that came in this skin tone set. It's probably one of the nicer skin tone sets of markers I've seen across all the different art supply brands I've tried, so I did really appreciate that. I personally, side note, am neurodivergent, so a very important thing for me when trying art supplies is how it feels to use. I would rank it a solid 7 out of 10 for feel, because they were a tad scratchy, but nothing I can't work with, and I will totally use them again. It didn't put me through any sort of sensory misery, so I'm still pretty happy with it. Now, for my beef with these products is that it really took forever for the ink to fill the nib. I shook those pens so much that it really had my carpal tunnel inflamed. And obviously that isn't ideal, but it's something I can get past because of the fact that I really only have to do that once. But it is a little suggestion for the company to see if they can remedy that issue, if possible. And the color discrepancy between the color of the ink and the cap, which again is something I can get past because it is a very common issue with literally any art supply company that has ever been on this planet. It is a very rare thing, actually, to see an art supply that doesn't have a color and cap discrepancy. Unfortunately, though, with these Pintar pens, they were a little too separated between the color of the cap and the ink. So half the time I felt like I was just trying to pick the color that I thought I just used and hope I get lucky. But it wasn't too bad, but I might have to make a full swatch series and put stickers on them just so I know exactly what color I'm using. So it was a little bothersome, but it wasn't too terrible. My overall ranking for these markers, I would say, is a solid 8 out of 10. They work perfectly for the purpose I bought them for. And I also really enjoy supporting smaller companies, and I love trying new things, especially art supplies. So the fact that they worked out perfectly for their intended purpose that I bought them for, and the color range was awesome, and they feel really nice, I think this was a win. This was a W, if I could say so myself. If you are interested in trying out these markers, I have a link in the description if you would like to try them. It is an affiliate link, so I get a little bit of commission from your purchase. But even if it weren't an affiliate link, I still recommend you try them out, especially if you also enjoy using acrylic markers and you found the same issue that I did with limited color range. And I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching this random little review. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later.